One of these business model needs a $20,000 or more car, a loan, and an algorithm that actually likes you. The other one needs a $4,000 Corolla and a renter who delivers food or drives people around for a living. Both of them are being sold to you on social media right now as the car rental play. And after my last video on gig economy rentals blew up, my DMs have been full of the same questions over and over. Should I put my car in Turo or should I rent it to Uber and DoorDash drivers? And almost everyone asking that question is comparing the wrong numbers. They're comparing a Turo dashboard versus the $1,600 a month that you see for gig worker rentals. Two of them are gross numbers, two of them are fantasies, and picking a business based on which lie sounds better. So in this video, I'm putting both models side by side with real numbers, what each car actually costs to get on the road, what it actually nets per month after insurance, maintenance, fees, and downtime, and where each model breaks, and who each one is actually for. And I can run this comparison honestly because I've done both. I built a car rental fleet to $150,000 a month before exiting. I've had cars on Turo, off Turo. I still have cars on Turo and off Turo. And I'm coaching operators that are running gig economy fleets. So I have no reason to sell you one business model over the other. By the end of this, you're gonna know exactly which model fits your money, your market, and your tolerance for headaches. And there's a third answer at the end that the smartest operators I know have already figured out. Let's start with what it costs just to get one car earning in each model. The typical Turo host actually spends anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 or more per car. They're usually financed, and that is so that they can compete in the search results where photos and the model year actually matter. Real cash is needed up front usually, down payment, registration, first months of insurance, and a cushion. So the realistic all-in figure on one of these vehicles, including down payment, unless you have excellent credit or you have access to business lending, but even most business loans, if you do something like a track lease, is gonna require 10% down payments. So on a $30,000 car, that's gonna be a $3,000 down payment. The first month of insurance is 120 bucks. And then you got to have a cushion. If you're on the 90-10 plan for Turo, for example, you're going to want a $2,750 deductible. All in, you better have $5,500 to $6,000 in cash reserves if you're going in blindly. That's a realistic figure for the long term. You can enter at lower cost. You can also manage other people's vehicles, but for the sake of this video, that's the numbers that I'm going with. Then you're going to have monthly obligations from day one, such as loan payment, full coverage for the car. But when it comes to renting cheap cash economy cars to gig workers, and you can do cheap cash economy cars on Turo, they're just not as effective. But the criteria for Turo is a little bit stricter. So with gig economy rentals, you're gonna be able to get away with cars that are $3,000 to $6,000. Cars like Camrys, Corollas, Civics, Priuses. They get high miles per gallon. They're cheap to repair. There's no financing, no negative equity, no monthly payments that are hanging over the car. So realistically, your all-in cost to start could be anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 as well. Then you gotta install a tracker, have a reserve. So you might wanna have just a little bit more in your back pocket. So technically, Turo has a higher cost of entry unless you have good credit and you can get no money down vehicles or you can manage other people's cars. But there's usually a monthly obligation attached to it. This is at least for most hosts, again, for the sake of this video. The gig model is one of the lowest barriers to entry when it comes to this business, but cheap entry means nothing if the income side doesn't hold up. So let's talk about what each car can actually pay you, because this is where both models lie to you in opposite directions. When it comes to Turo, you're betting on a daily rate and you're betting on your occupancy. You don't know what that's going to be from month to month. It can be very unpredictable. So gross can look great on a fully booked month. If you're running a $20,000 to $30,000 vehicle, your realistic daily rate, depending on your market, is gonna be anywhere from 60 to 120 bucks per day. Again, it's really heavily market dependent, as well as some other factors in how you place your Turo profile. Then on top of that comes Turo's cut, which is gonna depend on your protection plan. So if you're on the more earnings plan, you're gonna get 90%, Turo's gonna take 10%, and the revenue can be lumpy. There's weekends, holiday spikes, weekdays can be slow, there's slow seasons, and the algorithm is going to decide who actually sees your vehicle. Now, when it comes to gig revenue, it's a flat rate subscription business. Most people are charging anywhere from $350 to $450 per week. That's roughly $1,600 per month on average per vehicle, paid weekly, and if you're doing it right, they're paying it up front. There's usually no seasonality because a DoorDash driver, an Uber driver, they're going to need the car on Tuesday, on Friday, they're gonna need it over the holidays. It does not matter. There's no algorithm, and the renter is your direct customer, your contract, and your relationship. Turo income behaves a lot like Airbnb income. Gig income behaves a lot like rent. So if you were to compare this to properties, that is exactly how it would be set up. One has a high ceiling and is unpredictable. The other one has a low ceiling and it can be boringly consistent. Most beginners are choosing the high ceiling without understanding they're also choosing the unpredictability. Now here's where it flips, because everything I just gave you is gross revenue, and the costs in these two models could not be more different. This is the section that decides the whole comparison. Now, when it comes to Turo, again, they're taking fees, right? So they're taking 10%. Then you have maintenance at rental pace, which is constant turnaround. You have to pay for cleaning, which usually at scale is going to involve paying for labor or cleaning services. And you're getting hit with depreciation on a more expensive asset. And then when it comes to accidents, there's a whole different back end of expenses that may be unforeseen. So protection plans exist, but you carry the deductible, and the real killers are downtime. If you have payments on a car and a car is sitting in a shop for weeks, a claim crawls, you're still going to be making that monthly payment, right? You still have your monthly obligations for that vehicle. For example, I've had cars sit in the shop for 6 months waiting on a part. While that car is sitting in the shop for 6 months, I'm still having to make the payment, and I still have all of my obligations to keep the rest of the business going. Then when it comes to Turo, there's also the platform itself, which poses structural risks to your business, right? There can be an algorithm change, fee change, you can get your account banned, and just like that, your business can be gone overnight. So one channel, one point of failure. Now let's go over the fees and the cost of what it costs to run the gig economy side of things. You're actually self-insured on the vehicle, whether you knew that or not. And you can have off-trip liability through providers like Romely. So that's going to cost you, if you're just doing liability, at least $60 a month for legal compliance. And then you need to pay for on-trip third-party liability through providers like Hugo or rentalcover.com, which depending on which providers are available in your state, that can cost you anywhere from $300 to $600 a month per car. So you can deduct that right away from the $1,600 a month that you're charging. And that coverage only protects the people that they hit. So if someone hits someone else in your car, that is the only thing that's covered. Your car is not covered. Your renter totals your car, and it's not on an Uber or a Lyft trip. It's just used for personal use at the time. They're picking up their kids from school, getting food or whatever. You're gonna eat the cost on the car. So if the car is $5,000, they total it, you're paying that $5,000 out of pocket because there is no comprehensive and collision coverage on that vehicle, and renters are usually not carrying collision damage waivers. You may get lucky if they use personal auto insurance, but that's a whole nother topic. So realistically, you wanna have a reserve of probably about $200 per car per month, just so by the time a total loss comes around, hopefully you have enough money stacked up to negate that cost. Then when it comes to the gig worker model, maintenance is brutal. Yes, you have maintenance on Turo rentals, but when it comes to gig workers, they're putting sometimes 1,500 to 3,000 miles a week on some of these cars because it's commercial use. Tires, brakes, oil changes, everything is probably gonna cost you at least about $200 a month. And then with gig workers, you also have the human risk. That's gonna be things like missed payments, disappearing renters, you have to repo cars, pay for trackers, kill switches, weekly prepay, right? You have to make sure that all these things are done. You have to have watertight contracts, deposit because you have no backing. There is no platform like Turo to back you up. So none of that is optional. Now let's go over some honest numbers of what you can probably net per vehicle in the business model. When it comes to gig workers, your gross is going to be roughly $1,600 per month per vehicle, but you're probably going to net about $700 per month per car after insurance, maintenance, and having reserves. Those are real numbers. They're still solid, but they're not the influencer numbers that people are telling you on Instagram. Now, when it comes to Turo, you can expect to make probably anywhere from $700 to $1,000 realistically per month in profit if you know how to structure your Turo correctly and if you know the ins and outs of Turo. That's after fees, costs, and average downtime. The only good part is about Turo is typically you have newer vehicles. If you're making payments, you're building equity in those cars, and let's not forget the tax write-off benefits. So per car, the net that you make on them are closer than anyone likes to admit, but the difference isn't the profit per car, it's the shape of the business. Turo's higher capital, usually, higher ceiling, platform dependent, spiky income. Gig is lower capital, has a capped ceiling, it's fully direct, but it's steady income and it's heavier hands-on risk management. So which one should you actually pick? Here's the honest breakdown, and it depends on your situation. And then the third answer that I promised you. Now, quick pause. If you're sitting here trying to figure out which one of these models fits your market, your budget, and your goals, that's literally what I do on my one-on-one strategy calls. We map out your specific situation, your starter vehicles, your insurance setup, and your first 60-day scale plan. That is going to be available with the first link in the description. So let's get back to the video. So you should pick Turo if you have more starting capital, you're in a strong travel or event market, or you want a higher ceiling per car, and you can stomach lumpy income and platform dependency while you're building your business. You should pick gig economy rentals if you have $5,000 to $15,000 in liquid, you're in a city with high worker density, you're fine being hands-on, and you understand it is a logistics and risk management business. It is not going to be passive income. I don't care if they're long-term rentals. I promise you that is not going to happen. And you should do neither model if you truly want passive income and you can't absorb an occasional totaled car, a slow month, or you don't have the time to screen and manage renters. And this is the third answer, and this has the best payoff. The best operators, they don't choose. They run both as channels in one fleet. The nicer finance cars, they live on Turo, and then direct private rentals captures the high rate travel demand. So not only are we doing Turo, we're doing private rentals on the same cars that we have on Turo, which can also exponentially grow your business. Then we also want to do cheap cash cars that run as gig units, generating steady weekly base income that covers fixed overhead. The steady gig worker income is going to smooth out the Turo seasonality, and the Turo upside gives a fleet a ceiling that gig cars alone could never do. Each model covers the other one's weakness. And notice what both halves of that setup have in common when done correctly. You own the customer relationships on the gig side worker and private side of rental things, so not one single plan platform can shut down your business. You have a mixed fleet, multiple channels, and that's what an actual car rental business looks like instead of an account. So that's the real comparison. Turo versus gig rentals isn't a battle with a winner. They're two different tools with different math, different risks, and different jobs inside a real fleet. The people losing money in both models are the ones who pick based on a gross number that they saw on social media. The people winning ran the net math first, and most of the best ones are quietly running both. If you watch this whole video and you're serious about starting or scaling a real car rental business, whether that's gig economy cars, Turo, private rentals, or a mix of everything like I just described, then I may have something for you. I personally do a limited number of one-on-one strategy calls where we map out your specific market, your starter vehicles, your screening and deposit structure, your insurance setup, and your first 60-day sale plan to get cars on the road and actually renting. That's gonna be the first link in the description. The spots are limited because these are real calls with me, not a webinar. So if the link is live, that means the spot is open. Click it, book your call, and let's figure out which model or which combination of the models your fleet should be built on. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video.